and try to bring it down to the level of a patient and a caregiver so that it makes sense to you and you don't have all the jargon that you hear about, which may not always make a lot of sense. And plus, this field is moving so rapidly that things are changing all the time. We have difficulty keeping up. I can imagine that a patient would have difficulty as well. So that's the whole focus and goal of this event. Once again, thanks a lot to our sponsors, because without them this would not be possible. We have Leukemia Lymphoma Society, Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. We have all these resources. We want you to get to them. There are other conferences happening. We would like you to attend more, listen to more, and get that experience. Now, in addition to the evaluation form, those of you who may have attended in 2019 might remember we had done a survey, a research survey on the sidelines of this, which was very successful. That was focused on your EMR portal usage. We're doing another survey this year, which we hope to gain a lot of information from. These surveys are kept at the tables, but the difference from last year is this year we're only asking the patients to fill them out. We're not asking caregivers to. And the reason for that is when we have to do the analysis, we got feedback from reviewers in 2019 that, hey, you really need to be able to focus on the patient aspect, otherwise the responses can get very mixed up. I really think the caregiver aspect is also very important, but I would please request, take that survey, fill it out. It's a little more than a page, and I apologize that there are a lot of questions, but then we've tried to keep them simple. Please fill it out anytime during the day. We're going to have a few volunteers collecting them from you later on. And if there's anything that is obviously not there, we would request you to please clarify that so we can use that information. So with that, I think we're going to go on to the next portion of the morning, where one of the feedbacks we really got, and I don't know if Cindy's here today or not, I haven't seen her this morning, but Cindy Ricchetti, who was the patient speaker last year, I think hands down her session was the most well received by patients because you could resonate with a patient. That made more sense. So we're going to start off a day with another patient story, and I'm going to introduce you to Tim. So Tim Ferguson is a patient with multiple myeloma who I've been seeing for a few years now, but I've always felt inspired from every single one of my patients, but I think Tim has had a special role in that. Now, I'm not going to go too much into details of his story because that is exactly what I want him to share with you. And Tim is right here with his wife, so I'm going to ask him to come over, talk a little bit about himself, and also talk about his journey through multiple myeloma. Once again, we've asked all our speakers to be available for questions, so please participate. That's important for us. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Tim.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for being here and allowing me the honor of being used as this year's patient example. I would like to start off with a number, 1,205. 1,205 is the number of days since I was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma. 1,205 consecutive days. I have woken up and I have thought about multiple myeloma. I have thought about how it's going to affect me. I have thought about how it's going to kill me. Does anybody in here relate to that? Thank you all so much, because this would have been very awkward without those hands. It's quite the disease. Before I talk about my experience with multiple myeloma, I'd like to talk about my family history, so you understand why I have the outlook I have and why Dr. Alawadi says I am the way I am. I come from a long line of fighters. Just starting at the grandparent level, I have a maternal grandfather who won 2 Bronze Stars on a sub-chaser in Atlanta during World War II. I have 2 uncles on the paternal side that were Golden Glove boxers at Madison Square Garden, and they were both on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. They both survived. I have an uncle who was in Korea. My father was a career Marine who was in Vietnam. I joined the Marine Corps in 1987. I went to Desert Storm. My last deployment was Afghanistan. And I retired in 2015. I can go further back than that. I can go all the way back to the original son of Fergus, which literally translates to the angry one. But I think you get my point. Fighting is in my blood. I retired from active duty on July 31st, 2015, and I immediately enrolled in the VA medical system. I had my induction appointments where they did my labs and did my physical. About a month and a half later, the doctor said everything looked great, he'd see me in a year. That was the last time I saw a doctor until I ran into one of my customers. My wife and I settled into our new home, our forever home. We got on to the next chapter of our lives. I started in sales, she started in the medical profession, and my daughter got settled in school and sports, and we were living the American dream. We were doing everything we wanted to do. It was when I was talking to one of my customers, I said, hey, my daughter goes to your doctor's office. So does my wife. And she said, well, why don't you? I said, well, I have 2 insurances, but I never use them because I'm never sick. And if I do, I'll just go to the VA. She said they had a new doctor and I need to go see him. And I said, yeah, okay. That was me. And I went and told my wife about it. And my wife said, that sounds like a good idea. So I ended up sitting in front of a new doctor. And it's a good thing I did. Dr. Toro Manovsky, I still have problems with that name. He gave me probably the most thorough physical I have ever had. And he did labs, and he said that if there was any problems, he'd give me a call, but he expected to see me in a year. A few days later, I received a call from him while I was at work. He said he saw something in the results, and he wanted me to come get more labs. And I swear to you, my original reaction to this was, I think this guy's going to go far. He's fresh off of residency. He knows how to build the insurance companies. I felt fine. There was no issues. But I still had enough Marine in me, so I went and did the labs. And you can imagine how surprised I was when I got the next phone call. I honestly don't remember too much about it. Something about something called MGUS, something about myeloma, something about 1%. I don't need to be too concerned yet. I need to go see a hematologist. I'm sure you all can relate to that phone call too. The next few weeks were brutal. My wife and I felt the weight of the world crash down on us as we learned more and more. I did exactly what I was told not to do, and I went on the internet and I went straight to Google, myeloma, and boom, 4.5 years, I'll be dead. Doesn't matter where I went, doesn't matter what I put in there, 4.5 years, I'm dead. I like a good fight, challenge accepted. So on we went. I went to 3 different hematologist-oncologists. I got 3 different diagnoses, prognoses, and treatment plans. Now, how are we going to fight this when we couldn't even get doctors to agree on what I had, how to treat it, or how long I'd be around? Very confusing. But I specifically remember telling my wife, let's go to Mayo. Part of my job in the Marine Corps was a recruiter. And I was up in Minnesota, and I remember the Mayo Clinic up in Rochester. Drove by it multiple times. So I said, let's go to Mayo. And we did. And the whole reason was I was looking for an answer. I was looking for someone to tell me that I didn't have an incurable disease. I wanted somebody to tell me that I could be cured, that everything was going to be okay. We met with Dr. Alawati, and he didn't tell me it was all a mistake. He didn't tell me I was going to be cured, but for the first time since the initial diagnosis, I didn't need to be told that I'd be cured. It was our initial experience with a myeloma specialist, and there was no doubt or confusion about what I had to do. My wife and I both agreed that a 3-hour drive each way was a small price to pay, so I began seeing Dr. Alawati and his team at Mayo. Our relationship at Mayo developed over the next few months. I got to know them and they really got to know me. I was poked, prodded, nuked, you name it, they did it. And it painted a much bigger picture of my disease. You know how they go into the genetics of it, and come find out I'm a 1q22 duplication, so that's a little bit of a high risk. I've got a 9 trisomy, a 13 monosomy, all these fun words that doctors throw out there that you have no idea about and Google likes to scare you about. So they all learned that. Dr. Alawadi was able to sit there and talk to me and my wife, and maybe it's because he used small words with me, I don't know, but I understood. Everything was where it was supposed to be. I started to learn that the numbers weren't really what I needed to pay attention to. That's another story, though. They tracked my progress, and over 9 months, it slowly progressed. I got symptoms of neuropathy, polyneuropathy to be specific. I had it on the left side, the right side, the top, the bottom. I was to the point where I was dropping everything. I had to walk with a cane. I stumbled when I walked. It got to the point where Dr. Alawadi said, we're going to start you on treatment. And that was 9 months after I first saw him. So they started me on Revlimid and dexamethasone. 3 months after that, I responded very well the first month. But 3 months after that, I met with Dr. Roy on the transplant team, and then January 24th, 2018, I had my stem cell transplant. I thought things were moving along quite well. I felt better and better. I didn't have the neuropathy problems. I kicked the cane down the road. I was doing things. I was doing yard work again. I was enjoying life. I thought I had this thing beat. I had my 100-day restage, and I felt completely destroyed when I was told that I did not achieve remission. Completely destroyed. I was started on 10 milligrams of Revlimid, 21 days on, 7 days off, in May of 2018, and I've been on it every single month since. My myeloma has actually gotten better. My 100-day restage, I was at 0.07 grams a deciliter. That was my M spike. My M spike today is 0.4 grams a deciliter. It goes between 3 and 4 most times, but it has leveled out. And it's really important for everyone to understand why I'm not concerned with the numbers. It's because the myeloma is in me. It's not going anywhere. There's no cure for it. There's treatment for it. They can manage the symptoms, but it's not going anywhere. How does it affect me and what damage is being caused? And right now, Dr. Alawadi has it down to the point where we're residing in the same body and I'm not getting the damage. I'm still able to function. Now, there's things I can't do. I can't do manual labor like I used to, but when my wife says, hey, let's go to the yard, I can say, sorry, babe. It's got its pluses and its minuses, but I always tend to look for the positives. So, yeah, I think this is a good thing right now. And I'm here to answer any questions you have. Yes, sir.
Quality of life. How restricted are you to travel?
I go where I want and when I want. We just went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee for a week for Christmas. We decided not to do gifts this year. And we did the aquarium, we did horseback riding, we hiked in mountain trails. What else did we do? Sky Bridge, Dolly Parton Stampede. I mean, we did all kinds of things. I walked up and down that main drive 4 days straight. In February of last year, I did a 10-mile hike with a group called Irreverent Warriors and a suicide awareness benefit. So, quality of life, it's changed. It's new normal. I have to accept that, and that's fine. I was in sales before this. I'm in sales now. And the difference is, I was in a 9-to-5 job where I was working 7 to 7. Now I'm in a whatever I want to work job, working whenever I want to work. I have more quality time with my daughter. I'm a volleyball dad. I take my kid to school, I pick her up, I go to practice, I talk. And you know what? Put a price on that. I enjoy that. And, that's one of the blessings this cancer's given me. I see the beauty in a lot of things I was missing. So quality of life, it's what you make it. I make it everything I can. It's all about my wife and my kid.
But with respect to your treatment, if you're the 21 days on, the 7 days off, there's a limitation with that?
No, sir. As long as I do things in moderation. As long as I don't try to overextend myself, and that's what I have my wife for. She will tell me when I'm doing too much. I think I've been pretty active, actually, but I don't tend to overdo it. When my body says stop, have you ever seen a kid like 1 or 2 years old? When a kid gets tired, what does he do? Good night. My wife will sit there, we'll have a party, and it's 9 o'clock at night, and I've had a rough day, and I'll say, hey, good night. That's the things I'll do. I'll call the ball, and I'll say, I've got to stop. I can't keep going. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You do dexamethasone?
I did that on my induction therapy, but not now.
Oh, lucky.
No, ma'am.
You said, how did you like that?
Did you
We didn't.
myeloma attack any particular organ or anything?
I think anemia was the anemia and the neuropathy.
And then,
Mine attacked my kidneys and they were shut down. I was almost gone.
Yes, sir.
The kidneys had repaired themselves and I'm on a chemo
Yes, sir.
now, but we were here to see Dr. Roy yesterday and he's mentioned stem cell plant. I have to make up my mind whether I
I would swear by what he says. I'm standing here today because of Dr. Alawadi saying it's time to start treatment exactly when he said to. And I am here today because Dr. Roy said, we're not just going to take your stem cells, we're going to go ahead and transplant. So if they're saying that that's what you need to do, my personal experience is I did exactly what they said. And it goes back to what I'm saying. I don't manage the disease anymore. I quit caring about this disease. That's what Dr. Alawadi does for me, and he does it very well. I manage the expectations, and yes.
Yeah, is there a lack of physical activity due to disease or medication?
I don't know. I think
Repeat the question, please.
the question is the lack of activity due to disease or medication? And my answer to that is I don't know. I think I'm pretty average.
Combination of both.
Yeah, my wife thinks it's a combination of both. Yeah, a combination of both would probably be the best answer. Yes, sir?
Have you had, when you're taking Revlimid, have you had any side effects? I've had a lot of side effects, but specifically, my taste of food has just, nothing tastes good anymore. I'm just curious if you have any comments about that.
Yes, sir. The question was side effects because of Revlimid. My only side effect that I ever have any complaint about is my stomach. And I don't know whether that was because of Revlimid or because of the transplant, because the high-dose melphalan kills your bone marrow, but it also destroys the lining of your stomach, what I'm told. So I've had a continuous battle with that, and I saw somebody's hand up. Yes, sir?
Yes, I have a similar problem that this kid from here mentioned about the kidney. I was treated in Norfolk. They lead me to have a stem cell transplant. I was in chemotherapy before that, and the light chains were going down to this chemo.
Yes, sir.
And I'm discussing with the doctors that I should go back to implicity, and there's an objection to that, and that's where I'm standing right now.
Yes, sir.
My kidneys are pretty much back to total normalcy at this point. And I've had 4 rounds of chemo, and I'm supposed to start a 5th round next Friday, and possibly a 6th. And I don't, see, that's where I am with the stem cell transplant. I don't know at this rate, I'm doing pretty well. But I'm afraid if I go for 2 more rounds of chemo, then it'll take me out of the window for the stem cell or whatever.
So, everybody, thanks. I think we hear loud and clear. First of all, we're going to have some mics come out to you. If you have a question, raise your hand. We have a couple of volunteers that will bring the mic to you so that everybody can hear the question. If it's okay, I'm going to make one request. I think it may not be fair to Tim to ask your specific medical question because, again, Tim's journey and experience has been one, and he's here with you because I wanted him to share his story. We really think that it's encouraging. What I can say is that I think your questions are very good, so maybe if Tim wants, I can stick around if there's any question specific that I can help with that. I would strongly suggest, I think as far as treatment is concerned, these are the type of things. So the focus of this is not necessarily that we'll be able to give you the medical advice for your case specifically, but what you brought up, sir, that I've had 4 rounds of treatment, my kidneys are fine, I'm being told about transplant, why should I do it? That's not just you, that's you there as well. There are other patients in the room who have these same questions. So our first goal is, whether or not we're able to get you the right answer today, we want everybody in this room to know they're not alone. This question that they're interact. So that is another piece of this. Make your connections, talk to each other. If you're not interested in going to a support group, this is your support group. Talk to them, make those connections, and build that bridge. But I would suggest, maybe if it's okay, a specific medical question to Tim may not be kind of justifying it or putting him in a difficult kind of spot. Is that?
I don't have a PhD.
So I would encourage you, sir, to really talk about that. And Dr. Roy's going to be here, I'm here. I think our job is to help you understand this process, and I'm more than happy to spend time with you and talk about it. And same for your question, well, I got the transplant, my kidneys never changed. The only thing I can say is, like Tim mentioned very well, this myeloma is in there. It's not going anywhere, okay? So a lot of treatment that we do, like the maintenance, a lot of treatment like we do is to prevent things from happening in future or delay them from happening, which we think will happen if we don't do anything about them. So a lot of the focus of myeloma treatment is to control the disease now and keep it controlled for a longer period of time so that it does not damage the body further. Okay? But I'll let kind of more
Yes,
questions
ma'am.
come up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, are you still going back to Mayo for treatments?
I'm sorry, ma'am, can you say that again?
Are you still going back to Mayo for treatments?
Yes, ma'am, I drive 3 hours each way.
How often do you go back?
That depends. It's usually quarterly. I'm able to go in and see them quarterly and get a local lab, draw my blood and mail it to them. If I can't get the mail, the FedEx it to Mayo, I would drive every 28 days to Mayo because I think it's important to have the same lab do your tests every month. It doesn't make sense to me to have LabCorp do my labs in January, have Mayo do it in February, have whatever else do it the next month. I think it's very important to monitor the progress of your disease to have the same lab every month.
And did you have any broken bones from the myeloma?
Can you
or
say that again, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Did myeloma break your bones?
No.
Okay, you caught it before it broke any of your bones.
Yeah, I don't have any bone involvement yet.
Mhm.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Tim, other than your gut, did you have any other side effects?
I think other side effects that I had depended on what point I was in this journey. Prior to the treatment, it was neuropathy that was the killer. I mean, it was devastating. It was a quality of life issue, and it was terrible for me. Being a former Marine, it absolutely killed me. When it came to the treatments, I did have the raging attitude on dexamethasone. I'm sorry. I had the raging attitude. I had a lot of sleeplessness. I gained probably 40 pounds throughout that. The Revlimid has caused stomach issues. I've had those for nonstop now. Dr. Alawati has done his best, and I fight him on it because there's this one medicine that I just despise. I don't know what it's called, but I despise it.
Tim, did you take medication for your neuropathy?
No, sir. I am to the point now where I have no issues.
He's asking, did you?
I did. I used gabapentin and Lyrica.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do I see any? Am I missing somebody? Yes, sir.
On fatigue, do you notice when you're taking your Revlimid in the 21-day cycle, does the fatigue sort of have its peaks and valleys? And when you do have fatigue, how do you seem to fight it?
I take a nap. There are some days that are worse than others, and I'm an overachiever. You know, I get a cancer, I get multiple myeloma. I don't go small. I tend to do things that wear me out. Like I had that triple lumina port. You know what I'm talking about? The one that the day I got it, I was lifting 50-pound batteries. I was taking the hardtop off of my Jeep by myself. My wife is ready to kill me because I overdo it. I don't know when to say no. Or, you know, I didn't. I'm learning. It's an evolving thing. But fatigue on that cycle, I really can't say that I'm in a cycle. I think I've kind of leveled out. I'm doing pretty well, but if I do get tired, like what was it, yesterday, day before, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, see ya. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Tim. Did you ever have any bone pain, any burning sensation in the quads, the groin, the hips?
I had burning sensations in extremities, and I think that was more neuropathy. Bone pain, I don't believe so, and that's one of the things that bothered me when I first started with this. You know, every little ache and pain that I got, oh no, is this myeloma? Is this progressing? You know, when I was 18 years old, I broke my right arm in 5 places. And, you know, it does hurt when the weather changes. You know, so when that hurts, you know, I know myeloma's in the long bones. That's the mental aspect of it that you have to work out. But I don't have bone pain right now. No, ma'am. I saw a hand over here somewhere. Oh, yes, sir.
More, is it Jim or Tim?
Timothy.
Well, I'm a caregiver, and we're about 5 years.
Thank you. And thank you. And we went to a Mayo meeting when we first got diagnosed, and the right side said, I'm doing clinical, doing maintenance. The left side said, do transplant. And I just want to let everybody know that that's a big decision to make. When you I don't know how deep people are into this, but so that's some point. Hopefully we'll get some information today about that when we get more into the medical stuff.
Yeah, that comes after me. Yes, ma'am.
Whoops.
Do you still take the steroids?
Oh,
and,
no.
No, and when you did you find that that was the main cause of sleep disruption?
The steroids definitely caused sleep disruption, definitely, hands down.
Did
no
you
doubt
take
about
them
it.
in the morning or at night?
Well, I would take them at night. No, I'd take the steroids in the morning, work all day long, and then I would take the Revlimid at night and go to sleep on the Revlimid.
Did you find anything that helped you with the sleep,
No,
not
ma'am.
sleeping?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir?
I just wanted to comment on this gentleman's, excuse me, Revlimid. When I first started taking Revlimid, I had no taste. I didn't even want to eat. I couldn't enjoy food, but I never enjoyed food. I always ate because I had to. But Revlimid put me on my butt. I was in bed. I couldn't hardly get up. Barely, sometimes didn't make it to the bathroom. Revlimid just knocked me for a loop. My wife called me a vegetable.
I understand that. I think I can relate to that, actually. I think I had that. But I've gone almost 2 years now on this. So I think, like I said, I've leveled out. I think, the human body adapts, it adjusts, and you learn your new normal. And when I do get tired, I do say, okay, I'm done. Another example is my father. He has a house. I just tiled his house, his kitchen and his dining room in his house. And what, 3 years ago would have taken me half a day, it took me 3 days. At 11 o'clock in the morning, see you tomorrow, Dad. I'm done. And I think that's very important, is that as people, we have to manage our expectations of what we can do and don't try to kill ourselves. Yes, ma'am.
Did you notice any personality changes?
That's a trick question. I did see. You guys are trying to get me in trouble. I think cancer changes every relationship you will ever have. It will change your relationship with your spouse, your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your sons, your daughters, your neighbors, your coworkers, your religious people. It will change your relationship with your pet. I know it has mine. I've noticed changes in everyone. I've also noticed changes in me. So, yes, I've noticed a lot of that. Yes, sir.
You started your talk with the number, I think, 1,200.
1,205.
Okay. When did you recognize what your long-term, and agree with your doctor, what your long-term treatment plan would be?
The day I met with Dr. Alawati.
So he laid out the treatment plan for those 1,200 days?
Actually, he said, we're going to sit there and monitor you, and he was able to explain why I was feeling certain things, where in a way nobody else had. I mean, there are doctors, and there are great doctors all over the place, but your doctor is a very personal decision. I personally think, and my wife personally think, that Dr. Alawati is the perfect doctor for me. I didn't know what was going to happen after that day, but I do know that day was the day I stopped worrying about whether myeloma was going to kill me. I stopped worrying about that because I knew I had a doctor that was going to do his best. Period. And, I have a wonderful wife. I have a wonderful daughter. My daughter was 12 years old, 11 years old, and she has showed more maturity and grace. She has matured so much, and she is the driving force that keeps me going. I was her hero. I mean, my wife has a picture coming back from deployment where she's on her tippy toes, giving me a hug. And you could just see it. The photographer captured the look in her face. I was her hero. And you know, 3 months ago, I got a letter from her. She wrote out, I'm still her hero. Now, it doesn't matter that I can't do this or can't do that. I'm still her hero. Dr. Alawadi is the reason why. I think if you learn anything from me today, I like having fun. But I trust my body, I trust myself, and you have to do the same thing. Only you know when to say enough is enough. Only you know when. And I can tell you the conversation I had with Dr. Alawadi. The very day he said, we're going to start treatment, and that's the first day I saw Angela. I said, Dr. Alawadi, I can't tell you what's wrong. All I can tell you is there is something not right. And it didn't take him half a second in a response. And he validated everything that we had done the 9 months before that. So trust yourselves, talk to your doctor, and go from there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You.
I was looking for a microphone.
Oh.
It'll get to you. Should find you.
Did you suffer any balance issues?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. My wife got a bunch of laughs at me. I would fall backwards. I would fall to the sides. I would stumble forward. I would just stand in the kitchen and all of a sudden go one way or the other. And that was the neuropathy.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We'll take one last question and we'll.
I just wanted to ask, you said that you changed your work hours. Did you get a new job, or was your current work, was it accommodating and understanding for the disease and what your limitations were?
My job was not understanding or accommodating. It was a very brutal thing, but that was a blessing because now I'm in a new career. I'm still in sales, and I really love it. And I'm able to spend more time at home and do family things. Yep. Okay.
Well, first of all, a huge thanks to Tim and his wife for being here. I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to stand up and share your story, because some of these moments may have been the scary, the most concerning, full of fear moments in your life. But to have the courage and stand here and share with so many and give everybody the opportunity to kind of just, hey, ask anything you want. That is exactly what I think we were hoping for. But we have a full day of agenda, so we're going to move on. Thanks, Tim, and once again, thanks to your wife, too, for being here.